All right, Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha, Quadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of news and prophecy being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Wildfire approaches Reno, Nevada, forcing thousands to evacuate their neighborhoods. This is judgment and punishment from the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. A rapidly expanding wildfire pushes hard toward the heart of Reno early Sunday, ballooning past 10,500 acres and forcing nearly 14,000 homes into mandatory evacuation zones that stretch to the edge of the University of Nevada campus, according to the report from the Associated Press. The Hawk Fire, which began in Sierra foothills, exploded under strong gusty winds, low humidity, and dry vegetation. Was started as a small, unconcerning blaze Saturday morning had become a major threat by the next day, cutting power to nearly 10,000 homes and businesses in Washoe County and closing portions of U.S. Route 395. And if you notice, I believe Nevada is mostly inhabited by Edomites. Now, for those who don't know, the biblical Edomites is the self-proclaimed white man. Washoe County emergency, I mean, the biblical Edomites is self-proclaimed white people. Those are your biblical Edomites today. Those are your biblical Edomites today. Okay, Washoe County emergency officials opened the Reno Sparks Convention Center as a shelter for evacuees, but directed residents to leave pets at separate locations for small and large animals. Governor Joe Lombardo declared a state of emergency and mobilized the Nevada National Guard, sending 2 helicopter crews for aerial firefighting and 60 troops to help police protect emptied neighborhoods. The wind really blew up, said Tyler Duval, who had been camping over the weekend and found his home suddenly inside the evacuation zone. He added that he knew of homes that burned about a mile from his place. Approximately 400 personnel from local, state, and federal agencies were battling the fire with ground crews and air resources, according to Tucky Meadows Fire and Rescue. Reno Mayor Hillary Skeevy urged residents not to delay. If you have been told to evacuate, please don't wait, she said in a late Saturday statement. Structures have already been burned in this fire, and your life is more important than a building. Evacuating before the fire arrives also allows our firefighters to focus on their efforts battling the blaze. Now, if we come over here to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 21, verse 14, listen to what the Lord has to say through the prophet Jeremiah. Check it. But I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings, save the Lord. When you see the Lord right there in all caps, that's talking about the Heavenly Father, whose name which can only be uttered in the Paleo Hebrew, the Lashawan Quadash, which is Yahweh. The name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh. His son's name is Yahawashai. And I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof. Here's your live example. Okay, and I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it. So the Heavenly Father is punishing these Edomites according to the fruit of their doings. And we know Edomites are just naturally nasty, disgusting, vile, and profane people. They are base people. So they're being punished for the fruit of their doings. Okay. Now don't get me wrong, I always have to say this. Okay. Okay. If your father's bloodline goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, or a Native Indian, you are an Israelite regardless of what you look like. And I say that because there are Israelites that look like so-called white people. Okay, but they're Israelites because their father's bloodline goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian, which are the biblical Israelites. However, if your father's bloodline goes back to Esau, you are an Edomite, and your future is slavery. Shalom to the elect.